What's going on YouTube? It's Mike here. Today guys, in this video, we're going to be taking a first look at some of the new features and improvements in iOS 9. So today, June 8th, 2015, Apple held their Worldwide Developers Conference keynote for WWDC 2015, and they announced a ton of new things including iOS 9, OS 10.11 El Capitan, as well as watchOS 2.0. Now, while these are a ton of things that I could spend a ton of time covering, one of the main things I wanted to focus on, of course, is iOS 9. You guys know that that's what we really like to focus on here on the channel. And iOS 9 is a big jump in the iOS department over at Apple, and I'm running it here on my iPhone 6 Plus. I've had a couple hours to play around with it, and so in this video, we're going to be showing you what's new. Now, of course, don't forget to access all of the iOS 9 betas. You're going to want to make sure you register your iDevice with UDIDregistrations.com. I'll leave their link down in the description below. Packages start at $5, and for that price, you get your UDID registered, and you can access all of the iOS 9 goodies throughout the entire summer when Apple offers all the betas. So definitely be sure to check out the link in the description. Not only will I link you to their site, but I'll link you to my tutorial on how you can actually get iOS 9 running on any iDevice that is capable of running it, of course, in no time using UDID registration. So check out that link below and check it out so you can get your device running it. So the first thing right off the bat is Apple has redone the Notes app completely in iOS 9, and the Notes app is actually something I use very often, and I'm so happy to finally see an update that was brought for this. So for the first thing right up here, you can pretty much add almost anything. Capture information like maps, photos, and more for a richer Notes experience. You can sketch your thoughts with these special tools that they have, and find your stuff very easily. So there we go, I've just updated my Notes app, and so as you can see here, I've listed a few things actually over on the Notes app on my Mac for what I was going to talk about for this video. But you can see down here we have some of the new tools. So the first thing I'm going to actually do is the camera, and so I'll say use photo, and it'll insert right in there just like that, and that's so cool and simple, and I could grab anything from my photo library and do that. Now I'll also go to the sketch thing here, and this is pretty cool. So there's actually tools now that you could draw with, and I'm kind of looking forward to using this. I'm not so sure, but we'll grab this marker here and just draw hey. Alright, now maybe we can grab this thick marker here and draw like a smiley face. That's kind of interesting. So I'll hit done, and there you go. You can see I have this drawing inserted here, and I can go back and edit it in any which way I want, which is really cool. And so yeah, it's just something to play around with, and I'm sure will be useful down the line. So this is definitely something I could see myself using a lot. I want to take the subway into Manhattan. Now, one of the newest things that Apple has introduced in iOS 9 is transit directions via maps. Now, Apple's always trying to improve maps since the big iOS 6 mess a couple years ago with Scott Forstall. They've definitely taken the cake here with transit directions now. So I actually just asked Siri to actually go ahead and take me to route me to a subway in Manhattan. So this is giving me full directions to actually take the 163 bus from my town all the way to an A-train subway over in the city that I can take down to Manhattan. So this is so cool and fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to this. I take the bus all the time, or I'll take the train, so this is so convenient and cool to have, that not only do I have drive and walk options now, but also transit. When I get into the city, I can take things further through different subway routes and bus routes, so it's just really convenient to have. And Apple's starting it in a lot of big major cities in the US and also quite a few in China, so definitely be looking out for this feature. I'm really excited to use it. Now, Apple also did away with the Passbook app and introduced a new app called Wallet. It's basically the same thing, but it's a little bit different, and I can actually talk about it. So I'll open up the Wallet app. And as you can see, it's similar to what you guys have known for quite some time now. It's basically the Passbook app, but just redone and called the Wallet app with a new icon. It's the same in essence, but there's actually a lot of features under the hood that you don't know about. What Apple went ahead and did is they actually added a ton of support for royalty programs and royalty cards. There's a ton of more banks now that are accepting Apple Pay, and there's a ton of different rewards cards that you can now add to Apple Pay, which is really convenient and nice. So for example, I have this Dunkin' Donuts card down here. Right now it's just a gift card, but if I go ahead and update it, I just haven't had the chance to yet, I'll be able to actually add that as a rewards card, and every time I go to Dunkin' Donuts, when I get coffee or donuts or something, it'll add to that, and via the Dunkin' Donuts app that I have downloaded on my phone, it'll know how I'm using the rewards, when I can redeem, how much I have left, what I can buy, can't buy, and stuff like that. And it's all built in and it integrates with those apps, kind of like stuff that we saw with iOS 8 last year with how much further Apple is taking the SDKs for developers. So I'm really looking forward to that as especially since I'm part of a ton of royalty programs and stuff. I'll be able to add a lot more cards in here. So another feature you'll notice right off the bat in iOS 9 that I really picked up on, I don't even think Apple talked about, is there's a new app switcher or multitasking switcher, whatever you want to call it. And I'm very fond of this one. I like it a lot. I did like the one that Apple did with iOS 7, and they brought it over in iOS 8. The thing I hated about iOS 8 was when we had that nasty contacts bar up the top. I just never liked that. It made it look like a mess. Now, thankfully, they've ditched that in iOS 9, and that's gone. And as you can see, we have a much cleaner, sleeker app switcher now that's very similar to the carousel one that we had before iOS 7. It's similar in this case, but as you can see, it just looks a lot cleaner. And it's the same way, it works the same way that the previous one did. You just swipe up to kill an application, simple as that, and you switch between. So if I go to the App Store, for example, it works like that, and then I will go ahead and back out and go into settings. So it's pretty simple. You could swipe up onto it once and then go right back to your home screen. And you can see, even though this is beta 1 of iOS 9, it does work very fluid and smooth. That's definitely got to be one of my favorite features. Now, while on the topic of multitasking, although I haven't had the chance to download iOS 9 on my iPad yet, Apple actually went ahead and added split-screen multitasking, which we have been waiting for freaking ever. And I'm so excited to download iOS 9 on my iPad. You could just see some pictures here. Basically, for example, you could snap a mail window and a messages window literally right next to each other, or a Safari window and messages window, and you could just work back and forth so well with copying and pasting images, links, any types of text fields. Just makes it super easy. It's super snappy. Like I said, I'm really excited to use this feature. That's something I've wanted for a long time, and now that that's coming, I could definitely see me using my iPad a lot more. Now, one thing that we knew was coming from iOS 9 was some Siri enhancements. I'll go ahead and hold down the home button, and as you can see, there's a completely new design for the Siri actual UI. It's quite similar to the Apple Watch, but it's a little different. And it's picking up everything I'm saying here. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that out. But you can see we definitely do have a different UI there. Now, besides that, Siri actually got a hell of a lot of updates today. So I can ask some really cool stuff. Like, for example, I could ask, show me some pictures that I took right around this time a year ago. Or remind me to do this. Like, for example, I could go into Safari, let's say. Remind me about this later. Check this out.
Okay, I'll remind you.
And as you can see, it has the web page right there that I was just on. I know this is a little choppy. Again, it's a beta. But let's say, for example, I saw a news article or a text message that somebody sent me or an email that I wanted to be reminded about later. I don't have to specify anything. I could just say, remind me about this later, and whatever's going on in the background, it'll just simply remind you about. So there's a ton of stuff now that's integrated into Siri. It's a little bit smarter and more intelligent. Actually, Apple calls it proactive. That's for some other stuff I'll show you in a second. But it picks up on a lot more stuff now, and it understands you a little bit more. It's a lot more human. You can ask some really simple things. It'll understand what you're saying and help you out. Now, talking about the proactive stuff that Siri knows is, for example, I could plug in my headphones here, and if I'm on the lock screen, the music player will automatically launch, and it'll recommend what I want to listen to. Let's say, for example, if I wake up early in the morning, maybe for some workout tunes. I couldn't get it to work for this example, but I saw it during the keynote demo, and that's something that's really cool. It's funny, the phone actually learns to know exactly what you want to do, when you want to do it, and it picks up on that. And so even though Siri isn't talking, it's more of an intelligent, proactive assistant, and it figures out exactly what you want to do beforehand. And that's taken even further with Apple's new search bar. So instead of pulling down, it's very similar to what we had previously with previous versions of iOS. It can be accessed still from the top for simple search, or you can swipe to the side to get even further, and Siri will actually make suggestions of people that you want to contact or apps that you want to open, or even things that are nearby you can search. And you still have the power up here to actually search with Siri. But it's interesting, based on the people that I've contacted recently, or the apps that I've opened recently, or even downloaded recently as new apps, Siri kind of figures out exactly what you want to do with them, or when you want to contact them at most. It learns how often you use apps during certain times of the day, who you contact, or things you may want to look up. And again, it makes it just so much more like an actual human assistant versus a robot voice. You have to realize it's come a very long way, and there's just so much more that it could do now. And I'm really looking forward to seeing, how these betas hold up and how much more they could bring into this. Now, besides that, Apple also finally introduced Apple Music. Now, that's not present just yet in iOS 9 Beta 1, but we'll most likely see it in iOS 9 Beta 2, as Apple Music will be launching on June 30th for all customers that can update to iOS 8.4, and that's what that whole music app redesign is. I figured I'd just throw that in there because that's a completely new feature. It's supposed to be a big Spotify competitor with the exact same prices, as a matter of fact, and replace Beats Music, of course, with Apple's acquisition of Beats Music just a little over a year ago. Currently, I'm a Spotify user, and if Apple Music is good enough, there's no reason why I won't be making the switch. Just figured I'd throw it in there. But there you guys go. That is my first look, first impressions, whatever you want to call it, of iOS 9. I'm going to have more videos on this, as well as OS X 10.11, as well as hopefully watchOS 2.0 coming very soon, so stay tuned for that, guys. Big day here for Apple with WWDC. But thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, please be sure to leave some comments below on your thoughts. Of course, rate, give this video a thumbs up, and click the subscribe button below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.